My wife looked me in the eye and said, "I'm not leaving you, but I'm not staying with who you've become." Those words hit me harder than any failure I'd ever experienced in business. Harder than losing my first job, harder than the rejection letters, harder than the nights I went to bed wondering if I'd ever amount to anything. Because this wasn't about my career. This wasn't about money or success or recognition. This was about the one person who had believed in me when nobody else would. We'd been married for 15 years that started with so much love, so much hope, so many dreams about the life we were going to build together. She was 23 when we met, working at a small marketing firm downtown, and I was this ambitious 25-year-old who talked big about changing the world. I remember our first date like it was yesterday. We went to this little Italian restaurant that I couldn't really afford, but I wanted to impress her. She ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, even though I told her to get whatever she wanted. Later, she admitted she did it because she could see I was nervous about the bill. That's who she was, always thinking about others, always putting everyone else's comfort before her own. We got married 2 years later in her parents' backyard. Small ceremony, maybe 50 people, homemade cake, flowers from the grocery store. I kept apologizing to her for not being able to afford something bigger, something more elaborate. You know what she said? "I don't need a fancy wedding. I just need you to show up and mean it when you say I do." And I did mean it. God, I meant every word of those vows. For better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, I meant all of it. The first few years were beautiful. We were broke, but we were happy. Living in a tiny apartment with thin walls and a heater that barely worked, but we didn't care. We'd stay up all night talking about our dreams, our plans, the family we wanted to have, the house we'd buy someday. She believed in me when I started my first business venture. When everyone else thought I was crazy for leaving my stable job, she said, "I'd rather struggle with someone who's chasing their dreams than live comfortably with someone who's given up on theirs." When that first business failed, she held me while I cried. When I wanted to give up, she reminded me of who I was capable of becoming. When I doubted myself, she became my strength. And slowly, gradually, I started to succeed. The second business did better, then the third one took off. Then I got connected with the right people, made the right moves, caught the right breaks. Money started coming in, recognition started coming in. Opportunities I dreamed about became realities, but somewhere along the way, I stopped sharing those victories with her. I started working later, coming home after she'd already eaten dinner, after she'd already gone to bed. Saturday morning meetings became Saturday afternoon meetings, became Saturday all-day meetings. Sundays turned into catch-up days for the work I didn't finish during the week. "Honey, I'm building our future," I'd tell her when she complained about never seeing me. "This is all for us." But was it? Or was it for my ego? Was it for the rush of closing another deal, the high of being recognized as successful, the addiction to being needed, being important, being the guy who had all the answers? She started asking for small things. "Can we have dinner together this week? Can we go for a walk after work? Can we plan a weekend away, just the two of us?" And I kept saying, "Soon, soon, when this project is finished, soon when things slow down, soon when I get to the next level." Soon never came. You know what happened to those dreams we used to talk about all night? They got buried under my to-do lists. The family we wanted to have got postponed because I was too busy to be present for the family I already had. The house we bought became just a place where I slept between business trips. She stopped sharing her day with me because she learned I wasn't really listening. She stopped asking me to events with her friends because she got tired of making excuses for why I wasn't there. She stopped trying to include me in decisions about our home because I always said I trusted her judgment, which was really code for "I don't have time for this." I thought I was being a good husband by working hard, by providing, by making sure she never had to worry about money. I thought love meant making sure she had everything she wanted, but what she wanted was me. The wake-up call came on a Tuesday evening in March. I came home at 9:30, later than usual, because I'd been in back-to-back meetings all day. She was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, still in her work clothes, and she looked tired. Not just physically tired, but soul tired. "We need to talk," she said. I immediately went into problem-solving mode. "What's wrong? Did something happen at work? Is your mom okay? Is it money? Because if you need..." "Stop," she said quietly. "Just stop." I sat down across from her, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I really looked at her. I mean, really looked. When had those lines appeared around her eyes? When had her smile started looking forced? When had she started looking at me like I was a stranger? I've been thinking about us, she said, about our marriage, about what we've become. My heart started racing. What do you mean? When's the last time we had a real conversation? She asked. Not about your work, not about bills, not about logistics. When's the last time you asked me how I'm doing and actually waited for the answer? I opened my mouth to respond, but I realized I couldn't remember. When's the last time we laughed together? When's the last time you told me about something that excited you, that wasn't work-related? When's the last time you asked me about my dreams? The questions kept coming, and each one felt like a knife to the chest because I couldn't answer any of them. I feel like I'm married to a ghost, she continued, her voice getting softer, more vulnerable. You're physically here sometimes, but you're never really here. Your mind is always somewhere else, on someone else, on something else. But I'm doing all of this for us, I said, hearing how weak it sounded even as the words left my mouth. She looked at me with such sadness in her eyes. No, you're not. You're doing it for you. And that would be okay if you were still making room for us too. But you're not. That's when she said the words that changed everything. I'm not leaving you, but I'm not staying with who you've become. I felt my world shift. What does that mean? It means I married a man who dreamed about success so we could build a life together. But you've become a man who's so busy being successful that you've forgotten we were supposed to build it together. She stood up and walked toward the stairs, then turned back. I love you. I will always love you. But I won't pretend that what we have now is a marriage. I won't keep being lonely in my own home. I won't keep waiting for you to remember that I exist. So what are you saying? I'm saying you need to decide who you want to be, because the man I married would never have let his wife feel invisible. She went upstairs, and I sat in that kitchen until 2 a.m., staring at the wall, feeling like my chest was caving in. For the first time in years, work didn't seem important. The deals I was chasing, the meetings I had scheduled, the emails waiting in my inbox, none of it mattered compared to the possibility of losing her. But I didn't know how to change. I'd been living at this pace for so long, I'd forgotten how to slow down. I'd been prioritizing work for so long, I'd forgotten how to prioritize anything else. The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. She wasn't cold to me, wasn't mean, wasn't trying to punish me. She was just distant, polite, like I was a roommate she was cordial with but didn't particularly care about. I tried to fix it the only way I knew how, by doing more. I bought her flowers, made dinner reservations at expensive restaurants, planned a weekend getaway to a luxury resort, but she saw right through it. This isn't what I need, she told me after I surprised her with diamond earrings. I don't need you to buy me things, I need you to choose me. I am choosing you. No, you're trying to purchase my forgiveness, that's different. She was right, and deep down, I knew it. I was still trying to solve this like a business problem, throw money at it, schedule a solution, delegate the emotional work to someone else. But marriage doesn't work like business. You can't outsource intimacy. You can't schedule spontaneous moments. You can't buy back time you should have given freely. The real change started with a simple decision. I turned off my phone during dinner. Such a small thing, right? But it was the first time in years that we sat across from each other with no distractions. At first, the silence was awkward. We'd forgotten how to talk to each other without an agenda. But slowly we remembered. I started asking her questions, real questions, about her work, about her friends, about the books she was reading, about the dreams she'd stopped sharing with me. I learned that she'd been thinking about going back to school. I learned that she'd been feeling unfulfilled in her job for over a year. I learned that she'd been dealing with anxiety and hadn't told me because she didn't think I had time to hear about it. How had I missed all of this? How had I been living with this incredible woman and known so little about what was happening in her heart and mind? I started coming home earlier. Not every day at first. I was still learning how to set boundaries with work, but a few days a week, then most days. Then I realized that most of my late meetings weren't actually necessary. Most of my urgent emails could wait until tomorrow. Most of the things I thought were critical were really just busy work I was using to avoid being still. I started planning things for us to do together. Not expensive things, not elaborate gestures, simple things, walks in the park, cooking dinner together, watching movies on the couch, talking about our day before we went to sleep. It wasn't easy. I had to fight every instinct that told me I should be working, that I should be productive, that I should be achieving something. I had to learn how to be present, how to listen without trying to solve, how to just exist with another person without an agenda. But slowly, I started to see her smile again, the real smile, not the polite one she'd been giving me for months. I started to hear her laugh, that laugh I'd fallen in love with 15 years earlier, but hadn't heard in so long I'd forgotten how much I missed it. 6 months later, she said something that made me realize how far we'd come. We were sitting on the front porch after dinner, not talking, just watching the sunset, and she reached over and took my hand. "I miss this," she said. "What? This? Us, just being together without you looking like you'd rather be somewhere else." I squeezed her hand. "I'm sorry it took me so long to remember what was important. I'm just glad you remembered." Oh, that was 3 years ago. Our marriage today isn't perfect. No marriage is, but it's real again. It's built on presence instead of promises, on attention instead of intentions, on choosing each other every single day instead of assuming that the choice we made at the altar was enough to sustain us forever. I learned that love isn't just a feeling you have. It's a choice you make every day, every moment. When your phone rings during dinner and you let it go to voicemail. When you have a choice between a networking event and a quiet evening at home and you choose home. When you realize that success means nothing if you're successful alone. My business didn't suffer because I started prioritizing my marriage. If anything, it got better because I became a better person, more focused, more grounded, more clear about what actually mattered. But even if it had suffered, even if I'd lost money or opportunities or recognition, it would have been worth it. Because what's the point of gaining the whole world if you lose your soul? What's the point of building an empire if you have no one to share it with? The woman who believed in me when no one else would, who supported my dreams when they were just dreams, who loved me when I was nobody, she deserved better than the leftovers of my attention. She deserved the best of me, not what was left of me after I'd given everything else away. If you're married, if you have someone in your life who loves you, who chose you, who's building a life with you, don't take that for granted. Don't assume they'll always be there. Don't think that providing for them is the same as being present with them. Your career will end someday, your business will close, your achievements will be forgotten, but the person who loves you, the relationship you're building, that's forever. That's the legacy that actually matters. Don't wait until they're sitting across from you saying they're not leaving, but they're not staying. Don't wait until you realize you've been living with a stranger. Don't wait until you've forgotten how to talk to the person you promised to love for the rest of your life. Choose them today. Choose them tonight. Put down the phone, close the laptop, skip the meeting that isn't really that important. Choose love while you still can.